Welcome to day number 1 of our arm strengthening course. What I want you to do before we get started is I want you to get yourself really well set up. And for most people, all that means is that we just need to make sure we have the space that we've talked about. And I want you to have all the things that we're going to be using close enough to you so that you don't have to get up and go get them. So for us, that means that you're going to have dumbbells or wrist weights or whatever weights you have very nearby. Probably not on a table or anything because we want to be able to move our arms. So usually they're just going to be on the floor. So for me, that means that I've got my dumbbells on either side of my feet, and it means that I have my TheraBand within arm's reach, and I've got an even lighter dumbbell, the lightest one that we have here, that I can use for some other exercises as well, in case these ones get a little bit too heavy for me. So before you get started, I want you to make sure that you have everything within reach so that you don't have to hit pause and go find something. Just make sure everything is going to be accessible to you. Once you've got everything, we're going to jump right into our first exercise. And so the way that we're going to start each day is going to be very, very similar. We're going to go through a similar sequence each day of which part of our upper body and our arm we are going to be working on. The exercises are going to vary a little bit day to day though. So we're going to be doing a similar exercise to start every day with just a little bit of variation on it. So I'm going to show you the most fundamental one to start with. And the first thing we are going to need is our dumbbells. So you're going to need one dumbbell in each hand. For most people, a lot of the exercises we're going to do are going to be most easily done towards the front of your chair. As you get towards the back of your chair, you're more likely to hit kind of the legs on the chair, and you just have less room for your legs and arms. So if you don't need the back support, I'd encourage you to get towards the front of your chair and sit nice and upright, and this will be the position you'll be in for a lot of the exercises that we do. I'll tell you when it's otherwise. So we're going to start with alternating dumbbell curls. So alternating just means that we're going to do one side and then the other. So we'll do an exercise on one side, put the arm back, do an exercise on the other side, put the arm back and forth. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is going to be alternating dumbbell curls, which I just showed you. So you're going to want to start with your arms hanging at your side in a nice relaxed position. For most people, it means that their thumbs are going to be aiming straight forward. That's where most people's arms naturally hang. So as we curl one of these up, what we're going to do is we're going to come up and our pinky finger is going to curl in towards our face and our thumb is going to aim straight out. And then on the way back down, we're going to do the exact opposite. For most people, it's easiest to do this rather than have their palms forward the whole time, purely because if they have palms forward, depending on how wide your legs are, you might actually hit your legs. So for most people, it's going to be thumb forward, and as we pass our thigh, our pinky finger comes up towards our jaw, and then we go straight back down again, thumb up, thumb goes out, thumb goes back up again, and they end up forward. So what we're going to do is 20 total repetitions, meaning we are going to take 10 on the right and 10 on the left, but we're going to be alternating back and forth. So it'll be one right, one left, all the way until we get to 20. Okay? So you can start that now. The only thing I want you to do is make sure that you're moving slow and in control the entire time. Okay? 20 reps. And one of the things you'll figure out if you've taken courses from me before here and during this one is that I often lose count, and that's entirely fine. There's nothing magical about 20. It's just a nice even number. If it turns out that you get to 16, great. If it turns out you get to 24, awesome. We're just going to aim for approximately 20. And if you're moving at a similar pace to me, we'll arrive at around the same time. And half the reason I lose count is because I'm usually giving you instructions as we go. So if you're not doing it currently, what I want you to do is as you get towards the top, I want you to really squeeze your wrist towards the front of your shoulder and hold it there for a split second before you go back down. All right, let's just do one more per side. Good. So usually after each of these exercises, what I want you to do is I want you to put either the dumbbells or the band down, take a breath, and let your arms kind of relax for a second. One of the things you'll figure out is that on each of these days as we go, it's very hard for you to use a single part of your arm without everything else also doing a little bit of work. So usually at the start of the day, your arms are going to feel pretty fresh, and no matter how little you do, they're going to be a little more tired as we go. So we like to take a little bit of break in between our exercises and let everything kind of hang loose for 1 second. And a lot of the time we're going to be changing implements anyway. So for our next exercise, we're going to need just one single dumbbell. I prefer that you use whatever the lightest dumbbell is that you have if you have different weights, purely because we're going to be using some of the really small muscles that are in our forearm, and it's going to be at a dead hang. So we're going to take, for me, that's a 5-pound dumbbell here. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to have the dumbbell in our palm, and we're going to slowly let the weight roll out towards our fingertips until it feels like it's stretching a little bit, and then we're going to roll it right back up again, and then we're going to pull our knuckles towards the inside of our arm. So it's actually going to be down here. So for most people, you can just have your elbow on the inside of your thigh and the other hand supporting on top of your knee. And all you're going to be doing, and you can have your palm facing forward. Most people, your thumb forward is the easiest. You're going to roll it up into your palm, and you're going to flex your wrist up and then undo. And we're going to do the same thing in the other direction. So it's going to roll straight up, flex our wrist, back down, and again. So just on the other side, it will look like this. You're going to have it in your palm, roll it down to your fingertips, back to your palm, and then you're going to try to get your palm up towards your face and back down again. So that movement will start to fatigue very, very quickly. Even if you find that this dumbbell is very light and this movement's very easy for you, you'll probably find that it'll feel fine for 2 or 3 repetitions, and then all of a sudden it will fatigue. That's entirely normal. So all we're going to do is 5 slow repetitions. If you have a particularly strong grip, you probably won't find that challenging, in which case next time you can use a heavier dumbbell or use more reps. So for now, we're going to do 5 repetitions per arm. Start with whichever arm you want, and we're going to get in a position, leaning forward a little bit, forearm or elbow inside our thigh, and we're going to do 5 reps starting now. So we're going to lower it down towards our fingertips, curl back up into our hand, and pull our hand up towards our face, and go again. The pace of this one doesn't really matter nearly as much as making sure that it's slow and in control, and you don't want to drop the dumbbell. I'm just going to do one more here. Good. And then we can switch right over, and we do the same thing on the other side. So get into position in the palm of your hand. You're going to slowly lower it down towards your fingertips. Curl it right back up, and curl your wrist up towards your face. I'm going to lean over just a little bit more. Usually makes it a little bit harder to do that. And don't be worried about the range of motion of your wrist. A lot of people's wrists are stiff enough that it's not going to come up very far. That's entirely okay. It's more about the muscles. Good. Then we'll bring it back down. And then we're going to put that dumbbell down. Just let the arms relax for a second. So most people, we're going to get a little bit of discomfort or a little bit of a pump kind of up the inside of their arms. That's one of the reasons that we take short breaks while we do the arm course, is because once your grip starts to fatigue, it actually becomes more difficult to do a lot of the other exercises. So just take a short breather, take a breath, shake out the arms. So the next exercise that we're going to do is going to be over our head, and it's going to be for our tricep muscles, which are the big muscles on the back of our arm. So our upper arm actually has more tricep muscle than it does bicep muscle. So for absolutely everyone, they've got more meat on the back of their arms than they do in the front of their arms. That's entirely normal. So what your tricep muscles do is they straighten your elbow, and they extend your shoulder. So we're going to take our triceps and we're going to stretch them to the end range, and then we're going to come back. And that's done overhead. So I'd prefer that you start today by using whatever the lightest dumbbell is that you have. If it turns out that you've only got one, that's probably fine. You might not just end up with a whole lot of repetitions out of this. So I'm going to start with the lightest one that I've got, which is a 5-pound. And what this movement is going to look like is you're going to have this straight up over your head, and you're going to lower this down behind your head or behind your shoulder. It depends on which range of motion is more comfortable for you. If possible, I prefer that you lower it down behind your head it'll end up kind of touching your upper back and going straight overhead again. If it turns out that your elbow needs to aim forward and it's going to come down behind the shoulder, that's also fine. And we're going to go straight back up again. So the whole goal here is to try to keep your elbow up in the air. A lot of people, they will come down and their elbow will drop. If you have to do that, that's fine. I prefer you just try with the muscle to keep your elbow aiming up towards the ceiling. It's not going to aim perfectly up unless you're particularly flexible, probably more flexible than I am, but I want you to try to keep your elbow aiming as up as it can come the whole time. And then we're just going to do 10 repetitions per arm if you can do that with the weight that you've got. So we're going to start. Easiest thing to do is to start with it on your lap, to kind of use your knee to kind of kick it up a little bit towards the front of your shoulder. And then you're going to press it all the way up overhead in whatever way is the easiest to do that. And lower down behind you, pause for a split second, and straight back up. Let's do 10 repetitions of that right now. Good, and then we'll bring it right back down again. So let's put that down for 1 second, kind of shake out the arm. What a lot of you are figuring out right now is that even though that's an exercise for the tricep muscles on the back of the arm, a lot of people's weak point in their upper body is the endurance of their shoulder. So for most people, they have okay strength in their biceps and their triceps and a lot of the big muscles, but the things that fatigue first are going to be their shoulder girdle, and it's going to be their grip. So as a result, we're going to spend the end of every single day doing some work on the endurance of our shoulders, because that's probably the thing that will help you the most with your upper body strength and your daily function is going to be a lot of endurance in your shoulders. And ultimately, we would like to be able to exercise the rest of the muscles without our shoulders fatiguing first. So that's one of our goals towards the end of the course. All right, let's pick that dumbbell right back up again. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you're going to take dumbbell, put it on your lap. Usually the easiest is to kind of put it out towards your knee so you can spring it up with your heel, and you're just going to pop it up here. Press it up overhead in whatever way is most comfortable for you. And then you're going to do the same thing as before. Lower down either behind your head or behind your shoulder and straight back up again. And we're going to do 10 of those. Start that now. There's 10 for me. And then we're just going to slowly bring it back down to the front of our shoulder and right back down to our lap again. And then we can put it back on the floor, let the arms kind of shake out, let them relax. So one of the things that you'll see me doing is kind of wiggling my arms, treating them like wet noodles over here. And a lot of that is just to have as little muscle activity as possible while they rest, because even just holding them up here like this will take a little bit of work. So a lot of the time you'll see me kind of letting them hang out at my side, and kind of just letting them flop around. It's one of the ways that we'll get a lot of the extra stuff in our arms to kind of relax. So as I mentioned a second ago, one of the main weak points that most people have, regardless of your fitness level, is going to be the endurance of your shoulders. So we're going to spend a little bit more time today on the shoulders and some really easy positions. And it's just going to be holding our arms in some specific spots. So what we call these is segmented rotations, because almost all of the stuff from your wrist to your elbow to your shoulder is actually designed to rotate. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to flip one at a time. So we're going to do this. We're going to flip our hand, we're going to flip our elbow, and we're going to roll our shoulder, and then we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to flip our hand, our elbow, and our shoulder. So we're literally trying to take our arm like a log and kind of roll it front to back. So we're going to be doing it segmented. Rather than doing the whole thing at the same time like this, we're going to try to take it slow, and we're going to try to flip our hand slowly, and then our elbow, and then take our whole shoulder. Then we're going to unwind our hand first, and then our elbow and our shoulder. Okay? So we're going to do one arm at a time. All we're going to do for now is 3 repetitions. You'll figure out very quickly that 3 repetitions can become quite tiring if we hold our arm out there long enough. I'm sure many of you have experienced trying to reach into the top shelf for something and it taking a little longer than you expected for you to find it with your hand. Most people's arms start to burn very quickly. So hopefully we're going to be able to overcome a little bit of that by spending some more time doing something very similar. So let's start with our right arm. I want you to take it straight out to the side. You sit up nice and straight. And all I want you to do is to put your palm up towards the ceiling. If it turns out being straight out to the side is uncomfortable, feel free to come forward a little bit and kind of move your shoulder blade around and see if you can find a nice comfortable position. Okay? So what we're going to do from here is we're going to start by taking our thumb towards our pinky finger. That's going to form a little arrow. Then we're going to aim that arrow towards the ground, and then we're going to roll our elbow and our shoulder so the arrow is hopefully pointing backwards. Then we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to take our thumb and our pinky finger and spread them, aim our thumb up towards the ceiling, and then aim our elbow and our shoulder up and back. So there's 1, and we're going to do that 2 more times. Thumb is going to go over, twist our elbow, twist our shoulder. Thumb is going to go back, twist our elbow, twist our shoulder. 1 more time the other way. Thumb is going to go forward, twist our elbow, twist our shoulder. Thumb is going to come back, elbow, and shoulder again. And then slowly let them back down. So most people, we're going to get a little bit of discomfort in the shoulder, so shake that out for a second. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So if you want, you can do this with a little bit of back support compared to all the other ones. You don't need to be forward on your chair as long as you've got room out to the side. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go out to the side with our palm up and our thumb aiming back, and then we're going to take our thumb, bring it forward to our pinky finger. Then we're going to flip our hand over, and then our elbow, and then our shoulder. And then we're going to take our thumb up towards the ceiling, and then our elbow and our shoulder. There's 1. We're going to do 2 more. Thumb forward, down towards the ground, and then elbow and shoulder. Thumb forward again. And we're going to twist all the way up. Then you're going to bring your thumb over, twist your hand over, then your elbow and shoulder. Bring your thumb back and rotate all the way out again. Good. And then relax. So let's shake the arms out for just 1 second. That's probably one of the more tiring things we get to do in the shoulders. And we're going to do that a few times throughout this course. So the next exercise that we do is going to be for a really small set of muscles that we've got in our forearm. And so there's 2 different movements that we use to flip our hand around. One is called supination, which means that we flip our palm up towards the ceiling. The other is called pronation, which means that we turn our palm down towards the ground. And there's different functions for all of them. So typing on a keyboard, you have to pronate quite a bit. Picking a lot of things up, you end up having to supinate quite a bit. But part of it is our ability to control things, and it forms part of our grip strength. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice resisted pronation today, which is the ability to turn our hand over. So what I want you to do is you're going to start with your palm up towards the ceiling, and you're going to take a TheraBand, and all you're going to do is hang it from your thumb. So by the time you've got this hanging from your thumb, if you pull down, all you've got to do is pull down gently. And I don't want it on the tip of your thumb. I want it around the base of your thumb. You're going to use the other hand to pull down a little bit and then across your body. So what we should end up with is something like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull this way. So if you let your hand relax, the band will supinate and pull your palm towards the ceiling. What we're going to do is we're going to try to roll this way so our thumb aims towards the other thigh and then slowly let it back. So usually easiest is going to be with our forearms entirely on our thigh, but as long as your hand's on your thigh, it's going to be pretty easy. If you want to make this particularly difficult, just pull harder on the band. If you want to make it a little easier, just let the band relax a little bit. So for me, I'm going to go somewhere in between. So we're going to do 10 repetitions on the right hand once you get set up. Let me set that up 1 more time for you just to make sure you've got it. Palm up towards the ceiling. The middle of a band is going to be looped around the base of your thumb. Then you're going to reach and pull it across the back of that same hand, so it should be on the knuckle side of your hand, across the body. And then we're going to do 10 repetitions of flipping thumb over and then bringing thumb back. Okay? Let's do 10 of those right now. Good, so there's 10 on that side. Then all you've got to do is let the other hand relax, and it should be hanging off your thumb again. Okay? So one of the things a few of you have probably noticed, your shoulders are going to get a little bit of work out of that one as well. And that's because our shoulders have to keep our hand from coming in and across our body like this. So the back of our shoulder usually gets quite a bit of work. Our rotator cuff gets some work out of this, which is good. So the next thing we're going to do is exact same on the other side. Take our other hand with a bent elbow, palm up towards the ceiling. We're going to take the band, we're going to loop it around the base of our thumb, then we're going to reach underneath and pull it across our body. So what we should have is the band looped around the base of our thumb, and then towards the knuckles of those same hands, and then across the body, so that if you pull on the band, it pulls your palm up towards the ceiling. So we're going to do 10 repetitions of the same sort of thing, where we're just rolling our hand in like this, where our thumb aims across the body, and then going back. Okay? Let's do 10 repetitions of that, starting right now. Good, so I've got about 10 repetitions there. Just gonna lift both hands up and let the band relax again. So if you're watching my wrists, one of the things you probably noticed is that they move differently. I've had dozens of broken bones in my life. I've had a lot of accidents, playing a lot of sports and doing a lot of adventurous things. So I don't force it. The reality is my right hand can turn all the way over and my left hand can't. So if that's you, that's entirely fine. It's not about trying to get to the full range of motion every single time. I just want you to exercise the muscles that produce that movement. So I can't go the entire way over. That's normal. If you can go the entire way over and that's normal for you, please do that. Our last exercise for the day today is going to be what's called a no money exercise, because it's supposed to impersonate reaching into your pockets, flipping your hands over and realizing you don't actually have any money. So it's a little bit of a shrug action. So what we're doing is we're trying to use the muscles on the back of our shoulders, which is part of our rotator cuff and part of what makes people really able to grip strong as well. So the easiest way to do this for most people is to have the band spread nice and flat and thin, and you're going to take hands with your palms down and you're going to loop your thumbs underneath the band. And you're going to do it nice and wide, so wider than your shoulders. So we're going to be here. We're here, thumbs are underneath the band. And then all you're going to do is you're going to loop like this, and then you're going to loop again. So what you end up with is some resistance here, and your palms are up towards the ceiling. So as you've probably figured out, if you start really close in beside each other and then loop twice, it's a very tight band, and you don't have much leeway. So I want you to start nice and wide. And I want you to sit up tall, palms down, band on top of the thumbs. You're going to loop once, then you're going to loop again, and here we go. So you should be in this position now. What I want you to do is to have your thumbs aiming out, your palms are going to be facing the ceiling, your knuckles are going to be on top of your thighs. All you're going to do from here is you're going to aim your thumbs out towards the side, hold for a second, and bring them back. Okay? So it should be pretty easy once you get to this position. The setup can take some practice, so feel free to go back and watch that again if you need a little more help trying to figure out how to get into this position. So from here, all you're going to do is you can have your elbows back a little bit or in front of you. Back's usually a little bit easier. You're going to spread, hold for a second, and come straight back. So we're going to do that 10 times. If you can only do 3, go for it. If you can do all 10, please give it a try. Okay, let's do 10 repetitions of that starting right now. Try to get nice and upright as you go. And if you have a lot of slack in the band and you can use a big range of motion, please do. If you got too much tightness in the band and you can't go very far, that's fine. Just use a little range of motion. And we've just got one more repetition. Good. There we go. Then we're going to do the exact opposite to unwind. You're going to hold on, flip this way, and you can put the band right back down again. So that's it for day number 1. I'm sure your shoulders are pretty fatigued. I'm sure your arms are getting a little bit tired. That's the whole point of this course. So most of the time, you'll figure out you probably don't want to go do something that requires a lot of arm strength immediately after you're done today's exercises, purely because it's going to be a little bit harder for you. What I would suggest that you do is take a little break, and a lot of people will actually find going for a short walk really helps, where just letting your arms kind of dangle and move around will help quite a bit. If you have to get on with your day, as a lot of people are going to, I'd encourage you to do one of the things that I've shown you between a lot of these exercises, which is just to let your arms hang and kind of shake them out a little bit. Just kind of let everything flop around. The goal is to use very little muscle effort and just let your arms kind of wiggle around a little bit. It should get a lot of the extra lactic acid and those sorts of things that are in your rotator cuff and your arms, just to get it moving, to try to get your arms to recover as quick as they can. That's it for day number 1. Look forward to seeing you on day number 2.